And so, before I just kind of jumped in there, you said basically that your first defense for your brain is your gut. And this is something that through my interviews with you, I've learned a lot, but also, we've studied a lot of these things. We've got a whole bookshelf full of whether it's, some of Sally Fallon's work or some of the other kind of really important works on, gut, brain barrier and health and everything. And it's taken a little time for me to grasp how is it that your gut affects your brain. But I still feel like it's something that's not that easy to understand. You have a way of making it easier. So explain, what do you mean by that? When you say that your first defense for your brain is your gut, walk us through what that means.
Okay. Well, let me go back to farming and give an analogy like that. It's kind of like if you plant a seed, a healthy organic seed in soil that is poisoned and has hardly any good bacteria and good life in it, and is loaded up with all kinds of viruses, bad bacteria, all kinds of fungus, the actual plant that's going to grow out of that is not going to be healthy. It's the same thing in our gut, in our microbiome. You've got a balance that needs to stay in place there, that God put there at birth. And it's got to stay in the realm of more good bacteria, more good guys than bad guys. So, all aspects. And because we have a highway from our gut to our brain called the vagus nerve, and it is, and so important. I mean, the whole thing here is keeping that in balance. All aspects of our cognitive health, whether it's going to be early onset Alzheimer's or other neurological disorders or our mood, are all determined by the health of our gut, because our brain chemistry, again, originates in our microbiome. And we also manufacture neurotransmitters and hormones, in our gut. Our serotonin levels, 80% of it is manufactured in our gut. And that's our feel-good hormone, a neurotransmitter. So if we have a dirty gut and we have a sick gut, then we are not going to be able to create those neurotransmitters and send them up to our brain. Our brain is not going to function right. And immune signaling, we have 70 to 80% of our immune systems in our gut. And so when they're constantly sending messages that from a dirty gut, they're going to affect our mood, our digestion, our stress levels, our cognitive function. So you can see how these gut microbes are playing a significant role in what we would call crosstalk. So if you think of your gut as your second brain talking to your actual brain, then you're going to understand how it influences everything from anxiety to your appetite. But the other thing is your gut doesn't just affect your brain, Seth. It affects all areas of your body, because we have communication that goes from our gut to our skin, our gut to our heart, our gut to our pancreas, our gut, it communicates everywhere. It is central command system, if you will. A lot of people think that's our brain, but it isn't. It's the gut. It starts in the gut, just like your plant starts in the soil, and it's got to be healthy.
And this is
Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. And I love looking at some of these principles and looking at what we've done in our own life, because we really work very hard to apply these principles in our daily living, right? I've got two little girls, 5 and 2. And here's a really good example of how this approach, kind of the more natural way of looking at this versus the more medical system way of looking at it. So my 5-year-old, she doesn't do well with dairy. It leads to more inflammation with her. And we had seen, there's a doctor out on Long Island that we had seen, and he's much more kind of blended, but he has a lot of Eastern kind of influence in his way of looking at things. And basically, within 2 minutes, he get kind of fully diagnosed her. And she's like, well, she's too damp and she's too cold, right? Because she's having too much dairy. It's creating mucus and inflammation. And that at that time it was causing her, she was having a lot of drainage and she was always kind of stuffed up and she was snoring at night. And so we'd fix things, but then that was probably 2 years ago. And, a lot of times it's easy for those fixes that you put in. Once things get better, you stop being as vigilant with them. And so we got back to the point where she was wanting a lot of extra sour cream with her Mexican meal, or a lot of extra yogurt with her Indian meal, right? We eat a lot of ethnic, foods. And, but what was interesting is in the past month or so, month and a half, I realized that she was saying, huh? What? And I say, June, don't do that. And she'd go, what? And I was like, her hearing isn't good. And she was listening she had a little kind of musical player. She turned up really loud. And I talked to my wife and our nanny. I said, are you guys noticing that June's hearing isn't going? She's like really suffering in her hearing. Like, yeah, we're noticing the same thing. And so I went and did some research on it. And basically the conclusion that I had come to through my own little research is that she had fluid behind her eardrum, which is common for little kids. As when I was a little kid, I had to have tubes put in because I had the same issue. And so if I would have gone to an ENT and had this say, hey, this is the issue that's happening, they would have actually then most likely recommended going and doing a little surgery. They drain the fluid out, then they put tubes in the ears, right? They do that. And then there's a gland, I forget what it's called, it's right there, that swells up. And actually it can kind of remain swollen through inflammation. And that even further, I think it kind of compresses on the ear canal, which then leads to even more fluid in that area. And so what they do is that they go and they remove that gland. And it's like, holy smokes. So basically they will go in, and if a kid has this issue with fluid in their ears, they will first cut it and drain it, put these artificial tubes in there that cause other issues, and then they'll actually cut out this gland because the doctors have decided that gland's not needed anymore. And I thought, there's no way this is the route that we're going on. And so I thought more about it. I was like, okay, and did some more research. And it's like, oh, that gland being swollen, the extra fluid, these are signs of inflammation, right? The inflammation is a sign of something going off in her gut that's not balanced. And I said, oh, of course, Seth, come on. No wonder she's been craving all this extra dairy, because there's some sort of imbalance in her gut, which is then leading to the inflammation. And so I said, I talked to my wife. I said, okay, here's my research. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to cutting out almost all dairy for her and see what happens. 2 weeks later, she's fine. Her hearing is fine. She's back to normal. And it's just like, this is just what kind of bothers me about the Western medical system is I could have gone to the best ENT in the nation and he would have cut pieces out of her body to fix the problem that I fixed through a simple change in her diet, which allowed her gut to get back to its health. So anyway, there's just a little tangent there, but this is it.
And they would have put her on antibiotics.
You're right.
Which would have destroyed more of her gut. And you would have been on a bigger catch-22.
Yeah.
So good choice there, Seth. Good choice.
Well, I mean, I've learned a lot from you. I'm thinking, okay, how would Kim, okay, because I've talked to you sometimes after we finish one of our interviews, I'll ask you some questions and everything, and you always give me really good advice. And so I was thinking back to what the doctor in Long Island said and what Kim Bright told me, and it's like, oh, okay, I did it, and then it's like, wow, the body has this amazing way of healing itself if you just listen to what the body's telling you.
God gave us a beautiful thing here, yes, to house Holy Spirit. So. Yes, so I'm glad you took care of it that way. Very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, our world is being poisoned. Every day we're exposed to more chemicals sprayed into our skies, leaching into our food, and polluting our air and water. From pesticides and heavy metals to hormone disruptors and synthetic additives, these toxins are bombarding our bodies and silently destroying our health. But there's something you can do to fight back, and it starts in your gut. Kimchi 1 from Bright Core Nutrition contains over 900 strains of beneficial probiotics that will help flush toxins, restore gut balance, and support your immune system. Because when your gut is strong, your body can resist. You'll feel the difference. Better digestion, more energy, clearer thinking, stronger immunity, and even improvements in your skin, hair, and metabolism. And this isn't just hype. Studies show that fermented foods like kimchi can reduce the risk of obesity, improve blood sugar, and support whole body wellness. Kimchi 1 is all natural, non-GMO, dairy-free, gluten-free, and 100% made in the USA by a company that actually cares about your health. And today, you can get an exclusive offer just for my viewers, 25% off with your code MANINAMERICA by clicking the link below. Or call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. So give them a call now at 888-575-6488 and their educated staff will make sure that Kimchi One is right for you. Again, that's 888-575-6488. All the links and information are in the description below.